Morning, and welcome to the Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. Whether you've been coming for years or you're new to this fellowship, whether you're here in person or visiting on Zoom, and no matter where you are in your life's journey, all who come in the spirit of goodwill are welcome here. I'm Carrie Kenline, and I'm going to be leading the service this morning along with Stephanie Rains, Sue Livingston, who you just heard playing, and Don Sayeg's going to be helping us out with the hymns. And it's summer here, which means we have a lot of guest speakers, and some of them come from our own congregation, and that's true for all of us here this morning. For those of you who are here in person, I just want to remind you that we have coffee hour downstairs after the service, and we also have an elevator available if you need that. And for those of you on Zoom, I have a little technical guidance today. Jeff's going to put a slide up that shows a screenshot that shows you how to adjust the size of the boxes so you can see what you want to be seeing. So if you see, you should see two little lines in the middle of your screen, and that's circled in colorful circle on this slide. And if you grab those lines with your mouse or your finger on a touchscreen, you can drag it to the left to make my picture bigger and the shared slide smaller, or vice versa. And that way you can see what's going on here in the sanctuary more clearly. Okay, got that over with. Our focus this morning is the landscapes around us and inside us. And as we focus on those landscapes, we want to acknowledge that this land that we're on is the traditional territory of the Lummi and Nooksack peoples. Their presence is imbued in these mountains, valleys, waterways, and shorelines. May we nurture our relationship with our Coast Salish neighbors and our shared responsibilities to their homelands where we mutually abide. And now Sue will lead us into our chalice lighting, which we do every Sunday to begin our time of worship.
Good morning. When Carrie and Stephanie asked if I'd be willing to bring music to their visions of inner and outer landscapes, with no hesitation, I felt a big resounding yes. All my life, I have found my deepest truth and joy when I'm immersed in wildness of waves, mountains, desert, and open space. When I become one with the elements is when I find my own wild within, charged with life and wonder, and I feel at home in the unknown. So today, as we collectively invoke landscapes, the music I'll be bringing will be improvised, inspired in this shared moment, and in concert with the grounds of my experience, what it felt like when I entered the desert's still heat scented with sage, was lifted by the upflowing motions of waves, and bicycled into rolling horizons of grass circling the winds. So I will be calling up those feelings and see what happens. As we light our flaming chalice, let us honor our beautiful, wild home, the source of every experience we have inside and out, as it has been for every generation before us. Everything we can do matters to sustain her. And now please join me in saying our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life, celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
Now Now please rise in body and spirit for hymn number 163, For the Earth Forever Turning. The words will actually also be on the screen.
A place feels beautiful to us when we feel integral to it, a part of it in some way. What is it that draws your soul inexplicably to certain regions? What places do you belong to? What places molded you? There is native soil in all of us, that place that most shapes our thoughts, experiences, and ways of interacting with the world.
And that was a quote from Mary Reynolds Thompson from her book, Reclaiming the Wild Soul. For the past 6 months, Stephanie and I have been taking a course from Mary Reynolds Thompson. And actually the subtitle of her book is How Earth's Landscapes Return Us to Wholeness. And it's been a kind of a pilgrimage through a series of landscapes, each a world of complexity and deep intelligence. And as we contemplated and explored each one, we had plenty of opportunities to explore how those landscapes also lived in us. We went on adventures, large and small, took photos, created images, discovered past images that we'd captured and created. We made altars, wrote reflections, poems, and prayers. As we share some of what emerged for us and some guiding questions, we're hoping it helps you to find your own connections to deserts, forests, waters, mountains, and grasslands. To remember how you've connected with those territories and how they've lived in you, and to contemplate in a fresh way what they might mean to you now, at this time in your life. The online course that we took, Wild Soul Woman, invited us to rewild our tame, domesticated selves. We perceived the different landscapes as archetypes as we contemplated their qualities, and we looked through the lens of the divine feminine, relating as we went to desert woman, forest woman, ocean and river woman, mountain woman, and grassland woman. So you'll hear some of that kind of language in our writings. If, as you listen today, you find that you're intrigued or drawn to what we're sharing, I encourage you to check out Mary's website, which is www.maryreynolds-thompson.com, to learn more about her offerings related to the landscape archetypes. She's a wonderful teacher and writer. And as we begin, I'd like to offer a prayer that I wrote after creating actually the altar to the landscapes that I made out of an old wooden pastel box. To pray, I open my whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to desert woman who invites me to empty out, strip down, and honor the impermanence of everything. May I know that I'm enough, and may I listen for my soul's song. To forest woman with her fertile ground and wild and secret mysteries, may I be mystery unfurling itself. To ocean and river woman with her depth and flowing expressiveness, may I honor all my feelings and be fully alive. To mountain woman with her steadfast solidity and inspiring heights, may I bravely birth the beauty that's meant to manifest through me. To grassland woman with her welcoming and celebrations, may I know that I belong. May I share generously. May I manifest my soul's purpose today and every day. Blessed be. And now we move into our first landscape, the desert landscape. I have only visited a few deserts, but I have dreamed into them often, and turns out I've painted them quite a lot. The painting you see here is actually by Stephanie, who's also painted them a lot. But I think that I have probably painted deserts when I've longed for the spaciousness and quiet to hear my soul's song. Sometimes we seek out the desert because life has become too crowded and noisy. Maybe we're feeling overburdened with things that aren't even ours to carry. My work these days is coaching people to clear accumulated clutter that's getting in the way of what's trying to emerge. I realize now that this is desert woman work. While contemplating the desert, I found I kept thinking of this chant by Ali Halpert, which we sometimes sing at the Taizé services. I'll sing one part of it through a few times, so please join in. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby, you don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go. I'm a sensitive, caring person in a world that's full of troubles and noise. Desert reminds me that to function well, I need to seek out quiet spaces or find them inside myself on a regular basis.
In the desert, I learned the importance of deep roots. I encountered a twisted, silvered, ancient juniper tree, and it taught me about resilience. Resilience because of deep tap roots. In the desert, one needs to have strategies to survive, strategies to gather and retain water. I need to claim my deep roots and my ongoing need for nourishment. Self-care is not optional. Discovering what truly nourishes me is important awareness, and then staying connected to that nourishment is essential if I am to survive and offer my gifts to others. Desert Woman reminded me of my resilience and helped me acknowledge my ongoing need to stay connected to the wild, resilient, nurturing earth outside and inside of me.
Deserts can be harsh places, and sometimes we will find ourselves thrust into barren, dry, prickly landscapes. It can feel harsh and lonely. But Desert Woman tells me that in that place, my pretense can be stripped away. Prickly cacti can help me to slough off old skins that are constricting me from growing. Constantly shifting sands can teach me to dance with the changes. In the deserts I visit, and in the barrenness and emptiness of my own inner desert landscapes, I can start to notice the subtler things I might have otherwise missed. Now, we'll be sharing some desert images, and Sue will be sharing desert music that she's drawing on from her own experience of the desert landscape. And while you can just enjoy that, but we also invite you, if you like, to consider this question. How have desert landscapes shaped and guided you? When we turned our attention to the forest landscape, I got to visit the Redwood National Forest for the first time in my life. When I got there, I found I mostly just wanted to be quiet and commune with the trees without words. But one day, these words did emerge. The forest woman in me knows how to be silent, look through soft eyes, and be with the whole interweaving of energies. She knows how to wait patiently for as long as it takes. She knows how to soften, open, unfurl a tendril of possibility. She knows how to find nutrients, how to share, how to deepen, how to find her path, her place in the family of things, how to pop up overnight, how to grow slow and long and sink her roots in deep, how to be an expression of what is ancient and newly emerging, how to scamper and climb and burrow down deep. Mary Reynolds Thompson said, "Unless you get lost, you will never truly find yourself. If you stick to the well-worn path, you will never discover your true path. Some element of getting lost is key to the forest woman stage of your journey." So it seems the forest woman in me knows how to be lost and how to be found.
I was able to commune in Rockport State Park among the trees of an old-growth forest. I studied Doug fir intertwined with native dogwood. I noticed how they support each other. The strong Douglas fir protects the spring dogwood blossoms, yet provides access to sunlight. They share nutrients through their roots in the soil. I need to learn that kind of reciprocity and interdependence, giving and receiving, so that loveliness and strength can bloom in me.
Now, once again, we'll be sharing images as Sue plays. And this is a time to remember your own experiences with forest. When has it felt important to leave the village and go lose yourself among the trees? And as you breathe into the music and the images, you might want to ponder, what have you found in the forest landscapes you've explored? we're going to pause now because it's our custom every month, instead of the regular collection, to take up a collection for an organization that's doing good work in our community that's in line with our UU principles. And interestingly, the one we're collecting for this month is the Whatcom Million Trees Project. So I thought this might be a good placement for the collection. And is Naomi there? Is Michael Freer here today? Okay, well, the person who was going to tell you about that couldn't make it for some reason, and we don't know why. But we know that we believe in trees. Yes, do you want to say something? Oh. Okay, so let me just say here from the mic so that the people on Zoom can hear that. Do they have it? Okay, so it is an organization that is just planting trees everywhere in our community. Ann Stevenson was just at a work party yesterday. There are 350 trees about to be planted in Juliana Park. And anyway, so let us take the love that's just been evoked and put forth some love towards the trees. Thank you so much for honoring the trees and honoring this planet through your sharing. If you're here today and you didn't have cash with you or a check, there's also information on other ways to give in your order of service. And thank you for all the ways you give to this community and this world. Now we move into the waters. As we began to explore the waters, communing with ocean and river woman, I began thinking about the waters that had shaped my growing up. as I recalled names like Lake Pokegama, the Susquehanna River, the Yellow Breeches Creek, Lake Erie, Lake Michigan. Each evoked a particular chapter of my life and a particular set of feelings. And it led to a different way of telling myself my life story. The water landscapes also, with their depth and expressiveness, their stillness and their movement, seem very much like the inner landscape of my feelings.
And then I'm wondering what I'm bringing from River Ocean Woman into my life. Number one, go with the flow. Notice who or what is in the river with me and what shows up along the way. Number two, let my body move and make room for stillness and reflection. Number three, watch out for ways I block my creative flow. And number four, listen to the lovely stream chatter. Let water soothe me.
As we spent a month communing with water in all its forms, I noticed I was feeling flooded with gratitude. And one day, a prayer of praise emerged. I invite you to say it with me now. The words will be on the screen. They're also on the back of your order of service. A prayer to water. I bow before you in gratitude for the ocean waves that teach me the art of ebbing and flowing, giving with my whole self and leaving what treasures I have to offer on the shore, then slipping back to source to restore myself for the next offering. For the rivers, creeks, and streams that teach me the art of flowing expressiveness, moving around the obstacles and smoothing them just a little as I go. For the still waters of lakes and ponds and their invitation to quiet, soften, and practice the art of reflection. For the waters that quench my thirst, soften the seed case so the sprout can break through, break the summer heat with the crash and rumble of thunderstorms, blanket and round the harsh surfaces with snow, shape-shifting again and again and again. For the waters I emerged from for life itself, I bow to you in gratitude. And now we invite you to reflect on the waters you've known, the waters you've immersed in, gazed at, been soaked and soothed by. And as Sue plays and we share our images, you may want to consider, how have water landscapes shaped and watered your soul? Now I invite you to rise in body and spirit, to sing "There's a River Flowing in My Soul." And the words will be on the screen. It's also in the turquoise hymn book, number 1007. But the words are really easy, and so is the tune. Now we have journeyed through the desert, the forest, the oceans, rivers, lakes, and ponds. Now we come to the mountain landscape with its steadfast solidity and inspiring heights.
My journey with Mountain Woman has included remembering the mountains and mountain ranges that have been on the horizon throughout my life. Alyeska, Susitna, McKinley, Denali were mountains on the horizon in my growing up years in Alaska. Mount Stewart when I was in Ellensburg, St. Helens when it exploded, Rainier, Baker, and then for 12 years I lived near the North Cascades. At age 16, my family returned to New England from Alaska, and all of a sudden I realized not everywhere has mountains. And I realized that mountains were part of my psyche. When I lived in Seattle, having Mother Mountain, Rainier, visible, made a day beautiful and holy in some way. Living in Marble Mount, on the edge of the North Cascades, I learned to respect and pay attention to mountains. Mountains create the weather around them. Glaciers and snowpack impact the quantity and quality of water flowing down and below, and thereby the health of the region for all the inhabitants. Mountain Woman is big medicine, sacred to many. She reminds me to slow down. I'm not a fast hiker. Uphill is not my preferred mode. But mountains slow me down. She reminds me to take the long view, to be aware of my fragility, and pack my knapsack carefully. Of all the landscapes, she inspires me to do what I can to protect this land for future generations. She calls me to do my part.
As we spent a month contemplating mountains, some memories came back to me. I remembered that when I was little, I longed to be Heidi in the Alps with Peter and the goats. Or Julie Andrews twirling and singing, "The hills are alive with the sound of music." I remember that summer after second grade, our family trip out west, when we drove across all the flatness and I saw the Rockies for the first time. And after dreary Cleveland, Ohio, I was relieved to move to Pennsylvania, where we looked out at the Allegheny Mountains from our backyard. Eventually, my family settled in Skokie, Illinois, where the closest thing to a mountain was Mount Trashmore, a man-made hill built over a landfill. Maybe that influenced my decision to move to Olympia, Washington to go to college, where there were real mountains with snow. And I signed up for a course called Outdoor Education with Willie Unsold, the world-famous mountain climber. And then it turned out that the class was filled with serious climbers. Meanwhile, I was in my first ever pair of hiking boots, panting my way up switchbacks, completely daunted by the pack on my back. As it turned out, the challenge of being in mountain territory eventually taught me some things that have served me well when I faced other challenges. I learned to set a reasonable goal, take frequent short breaks, drink water often, and move at a pace that allowed me to breathe. I learned that when inner voices yammered at me to give up, I could talk back to them. I also learned that my imagination could be helpful to me in practical ways. For instance, if I pretended to be a more agile, sure-footed creature than I typically was, I started to use my whole body, and I became more graceful and more able to find my footing. The challenge before me started to feel less daunting. I realized early on that I wasn't really drawn to getting to the top in the way some people were. But I also didn't want my life to be flat. I wanted to be tested, stretched, strengthened, and to have my perspective broadened. And that could happen in lots of different ways that were meaningful to me. There are so many different kinds of mountains, and so many ways to explore them. So now we invite you to think back on the mountains that have been a part of your life, the vast ones, the smaller ones, the metaphorical ones. And as Sue plays and we share images, just to ponder, what have mountain landscapes meant to you? And now we come to the grasslands. Our souls crave connection. When we meet each other in a meadow, an open field, after we've visited the desert and been stripped of pretense and social conditioning, disappeared into the fertile forests, ridden the waves of oceanic feelings, and found fluidity when encountering obstacles. Once we've made the challenging journey up the mountain to get a bigger perspective and to commit ourselves to what wants to emerge, we come back down to the meadow to come together with others, to be part of something, to belong, to share what's authentically ours to share. And as Robin Wall Kimmerer talks about in her beautiful book, Braiding Sweetgrass, to be part of weaving a basket that can hold all the gifts and medicines of the community.
I know this is Grassland Woman time because cooperation and collaboration is the only way to operate. It's like there's no choice. And I want to learn new ways to step back and step up and receive and give support. This learning is important on so many levels: personal, relational, national, environmental. Patience and persistence are part of this new emphasis on collaboration. Keep listening. Find my voice and my way to contribute to the choir. No solo grasses, only the web.
As we were creating this service, I was very aware that it was grassland woman work. As Stephanie and I brought together our writings and images and gathered up what we'd experienced, as Sue brought in her own connections to the different landscapes with her music, as Don brought his guitar to accompany the hymns, as Jeff, Walt, and Mark brought their technical skills, and as you showed up here in this field, in person or on Zoom, to be part of the circle of sharing. I realize now that this fellowship, Buff, has so often been a place where I could bring and share what was emerging in me and where I could have it received with openness. An open field of possibility, a basket being woven that can hold all of our gifts. So now, as Sue plays and we share the grassland images, reflect back on your own grasslands, fields, and meadows, and we invite you to ponder, what might the grassland landscape be nudging you to bring to your community? in our exploration of these different landscapes, we kept noticing that although each one was a deeply intelligent, complex ecosystem, they were not separate. They were not closed off to each other. And each time we focused on one, the others were forever making an appearance. You can't go to the redwoods without seeing lots of glimpses of the Pacific Ocean. And if you're trying to photograph a mountain, you're sure to see some grasslands or desert or trees or water. I also noticed that I was always sad to leave each one and delighted and intrigued to encounter the next one. I had to keep remembering, oh, I can go back. This is just getting to know them each a little better.
Each landscape can challenge us, and each holds so many gifts. Carrie and I both noticed ourselves cultivating attitudes of curiosity and openness, and also deepening in our desire to practice reciprocity and gratitude, to keep honoring the gifts of each landscape, to learn how to give back and to speak up on their behalf.
Now, I'm going to share my prayer to the landscapes one more time, and this time I'd love it if you'd say it with me. The words are on the back of your order of service and also on the screen. To pray, I open my whole self, to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to desert woman who invites me to strip down, empty myself, and honor the impermanence of everything. May I know that I'm enough, and may I listen for my soul's song. To forest woman, with her fertile ground and wild and secret mysteries, may I be mystery unfurling itself. To ocean and river woman, with her depth and flowing expressiveness, may I honor all my feelings and be fully alive. To mountain woman, with her steadfast solidity and inspiring heights, may I bravely birth the beauty that's meant to manifest through me. To grassland woman, with her welcoming and celebrations, may I know that I belong. May I share generously. May I manifest my soul's purpose today and every day.
Our benediction comes from Mary Reynolds Thompson. Rivers and prairies, mountaintops and oceans, every part of earth is under siege. Unspoiled wild nature is disappearing all around us. It's easy to be overwhelmed by the challenges that confront us. But what if the process of rewilding the earth began with rewilding our souls? If we truly grasp the interconnectedness between all living things, doesn't it follow that every change within us will be reflected in the whole? If we reroot ourselves in the rhythms, wisdom, and patterns that created this planet, what might be possible for the earth and all her inhabitants? In the words of Mary Oliver, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Now we extinguish our chalice, but not the light that we have kindled here today. May we carry it in our hearts and take it out into the world. Now, let's form a circle and sing our closing song, Circle Round for Freedom.